In our very first story, there's still a lot of anguish amongst families in Takoradi whose daughters have gone missing for weeks now in what is believed to be a string of kidnappings to have hit the Western region capital. There are 3 girls in all that the police are trying to find. There is 15-year-old Priscilla Mantebia Kranche, who was last seen on December 21 last year at Nkrofo. There is also 18-year-old Ruth Love Kwesing, who was last seen on December 4, 2018 at BU Junction. And then 21-year-old Priscilla Blessing Bentum, who has been missing since August last year at Kansa Rodo. The sister of Ruth Love Kwesing has appealed to President Akufo-Addo to intervene in the situation so they could have her reunited with the family.
For the police, we've said a lot to them. Now, my problem is the President of Ghana, that he should set his feet up, because this thing can even let him lose some votes in the Western region. Because as for me, I've decided that not to vote again, because in this, all the way with all the things started, by now I'm sure that they have learned what is going on in the Western, but it seems they are not showing any much concern about the situation. So we are asking if it was to be an MP's daughter, or even assemblyman, or even a police commander, or even, let's say, one of the big men, the pastors, like, is that how they're going to treat the case? Because we just don't understand. We just don't understand. It's been 17 days since you had this guy. We're not able to trace anything from the guy, whilst his phones are in their custody too. So and Nigerian coming to our country to do this. Imagine if we were Ghana that we went there, what would they do to us? If it was to be an army officer's daughter, but I'm not sure by now, even the guy will be just be looking fresh like that.
Now, for the sake of the families, we're continuing with a social media campaign to get the girls reunited with their families. There has been a massive response so far from all of you. So I posted the images on my Facebook page, and there have been 4,000 shares so far, and we're encouraging you to continue to share it. I've also posted it on my Twitter handle, and there have also been quite a number of tweets. We're looking at over 2,000 tweets as we speak. So keep on sharing. Let's send the message as far and wide as possible. Now, the Western Region Police Command has meanwhile been sharing some fresh details about how the girls were captured. At a news conference in Takoradi, Regional Commander DCOP Redeemer Vincent Dejo said the suspected ringleader, Nigerian-born Samuel Wilson Odotek, succeeded in striking an acquaintance with all 3 girls who are now his victims. He added that the suspect has mentioned 4 accomplices who the police are currently looking for.
I believe our gathering here is part of that process. And you people listen to you better. I don't have the microphone. So since you have the microphone and you are here, this is the part of it. Then we book appointment with you. Our PR will come and do that bit of the job.
But Commander, since August, if it hadn't been the media who were just pushing this case, I mean...
I'm sorry, I won't admit that one. We were working. We were working. In my explanation.
But the media was just pushing for this press conference to come on. That's why you are...
No, my friend, you can't tell me that. I won't take that. In all instances where the accused kidnapped the 3 victims, it was observed that he has struck an acquaintance with the victims for some time, because the call history shows that he was in constant communication with some of them, all of them, before the kidnapping would take place. He promised the accused contacted the victim several times through mobile phone communications. He promised the first and the second victim with jobs, while he promised the 3rd victim with a mobile phone. Police has discovered some gadgets from the accused for invitation purposes and has been forwarded to CID headquarters for analysis. The accused person earlier made mention of 4 persons alleged to have been involved in the kidnapping. The police have made strenuous efforts to arrest these suspects from their hideout, but it proved futile. We realized that we will send you to a house and say, the people are here, you go, nobody will be traced. Police have made strenuous efforts to arrest these suspects from the hands of Profuta. Police are still vigorously searching for the kidnapped girls. The general public is urged to come forward with credible information leading to the rescue of the victims. We are also appealing to the parents of the victims to stay calm as police is working around the clock to rescue the victims. Let me tell you that I'm telling you that this man is a professional. How do I manage to say that he's a professional? We have information, and that is what we are working on. As I'm talking to you now, we are even using Interpol to get us some information on him from Nigeria. Because we got to know that is his signature.
Last two questions, please.
You don't understand what I mean by that is his signature?
Yes.
Okay.
No, can you explain?
He was convicted in Nigeria by the information we had for kidnapping. So we wanted to be sure of that information. So we have gone through the procedure, biometric and the rest, to send to Nigeria for them to give us information on it. So we are working. It's a gradual process. It is you should not expect that it will be fast track. As I told you, even in advanced countries, time heals moves. We shall get there.
Well, earlier on the Super Morning Show Wednesday, licensed criminologist Professor Kenneth Ajimangatefo advised that to solve the case, the investigating body must answer what made the girls a target.
I'm not clear. There seems to be quite some confusion about how long this has gone on. Is it one person who's been gone for 5 months? Is it a number of several abductions that all of which have lasted 5 months, or there is just one that is recent, like a week or two, and all of that? The reason that is important is that in crime analysis and in the public consciousness, there tends to be something what we criminologists call crime wave, where you have an increased reportage, sometimes of a single or a couple of unrelated episodes, say of robbery or rape or burglary or kidnappings. And because of heightened media reportage, the public mind is seized, is possessed by the idea that there is an increase in the phenomenon of that particular crime. I mean, it would be interesting for, and I say this without meaning to be insensitive about it, but in order to understand what exactly we are dealing with, what kind of decks do we have, cards do we have on the deck, it will be important to study what is it about Takoradi Takoradi. And I don't want to rush to make any conjectures about that. I have some ideas in mind, but what is it about this city, or this twin city, and what is it about this time, and what are the ages of these girls, and what are the characteristics? Not that their ages or characteristics make them guilty of anything, but it's just to say that their vulnerability, their susceptibility to being kidnapped would be properly studied if we looked at who they are, what is their sociology, what kind of environment do they operate in, what is the kind of interactions, because there is always in abductions of this kind, where it is not military, it's not political.
Lajamona Boaji, founder of the ACT Foundation, was also on the show, called on the police to collaborate with international partners on this matter.
I would have expected by now, in a case like this, first of all, I am beginning to think that even if it's not the same suspect, there appears to be some people who are trying to copy. Even if I'm just conjecturing, by now there should be intervention from the police headquarters that is looking at working with other sub-regional organizations, security organizations, to find out what has happened. I would have thought by now the Interpol would be in a case like this. Maybe I'm escalating it because as a parent, I feel the pain of what has happened when you are not sure whether your daughter is dead or not. I'm asking myself, a scarf was found dress.
Clothes, yes.
And if it was near to where the suspect was operating, what kind of examination, what kind of forensics were done on these clothes? Okay, because some of these things may lead to further tracking or trailing of what has happened. And I'm thinking even by now, the Attorney General's department should be involved, because kidnapping is a second-degree felony. If we call it abductions, unfortunately, in our criminal Offences Act, it's a lower crime, but kidnapping is a second-degree felony. And the reason why I would expect that even the Attorney General should be involved at this point is that, is there a possibility of plea bargaining if these clothes were found near where the suspect is? It means there's a possible charge of murder. We don't know that yet. But you should be able to do the kind of questioning that will let this guy understand that he could probably be going in for a very long time if he's not prepared to talk.
Yeah.
So at that level of handling, with the kind of police responses we were getting yesterday, it grieves my heart.
Now, one other vital piece of intelligence about the case we've picked up today is that efforts by the police to track the missing girls and their captors is frustrated by use of some cyber technologies to game the system. This technology, we're told, has made it impossible so far for their phones to be used to track their locations. We have a cybercrime analyst, Philemon Hene, joining us on the phone right now. Thank you very much, Philemon. Now, how familiar are you with this technology?
Okay, so with respect to, for instance, the cyberspace.
Yes. Okay. So what we're learning is that these suspects are using some technology that's able to game the system, such that if you're tracking them, you're unable to tell where exactly they are. Because in one moment, they're supposed to be in the western region, as seen by the phone calls they're making, and then the next moment, they turn out to be in Accra.
Yes, yes. So as I'm saying, the cyber become an enabler for some kind because of anonymity. And currently, when you look at the cyberspace, there are various technologies that enable people to make calls, voice over IP calls. What I mean is make calls where the locations are not, people are not able to, or investigators are not able to track the location. So we have technology that tries to
mask
the location, mask the location of them. So it becomes a prepared medium for people to make calls. But I think the main issue here is what is enticing criminals, or how the cyberspace is enabling these criminals to choose their targets, the culture of people, especially in the country, where we share all kinds of images online about our whereabouts and all the nice time that we have had everywhere. So it makes it very easy for this criminals to be able to take that information and or choose as their target. So the cyberspace is just providing some kind of anonymity and a very protected medium for these criminals to use.
Isn't it possible, or isn't there technology available that allows the system to also go around them and actually track them, despite they trying to mask their locations?
For sure, there are complex technologies that law enforcement could use to identify the location of these people. Remember, this is a service that someone is also offering in the cyberspace. So in order to pinpoint the location, you have to be able to identify the service providers and get the relevant information that will enable you to identify the location of these people. So the first thing is getting to know what service are these people using.
All right, thank you very much, Philemon Hene, for sharing those insights with us. I'll move on to my colleague Kojo Yangsing, who is on the ground there in the Western region, and he actually has first-hand information on this technology that we're learning that these captors are using to game the system and making it difficult for the authorities to track them. Now, Kojo, I would want to find out from you. You have been speaking with your sources in the police service right there in the Western Regional Capital. Now, share with us a bit more about this technology that we're told that these captors or these suspects are using to game the system.
Now, Israel, it's rather fascinating. What my sources are telling me is that they noticed from studying the phone records of the suspect that a particular number appears to be behaving in a rather strange way. The same phone number calls the suspect from, for example, Kumasi, and then 5 minutes later, the same number calls the suspect from Takoradi, a distance which cannot be covered in 5 minutes.
Yes.
Now, this indicates to my sources that the group or the syndicate that is behind these kidnappings have access to some rather sophisticated technology with which they are masking their locations when they communicate via telephone. Now, what also has put the police into the mode of considering technology as a key to unlocking the mystery around these kidnappings is the fact that the suspect, on the event of his second arrest after he had escaped from custody, sought to destroy his iPhone, which was found on him at the time of this arrest. Now, he stepped on it, hoping to destroy it. And the police have since been attempting to retrieve information from this iPhone. I learned today that the iPhone has found its way to Accra, where forensic teams are working on retrieving valuable data from it. They are hoping that somehow this information might lead them in the direction of these girls, since the suspect has proven that he is not, apart from a couple of wild goose chases, willing to give any other information to the police.
Now, Kojo, what other information have you been able to pick up as far as the investigations are concerned?
Well, regarding what the police sources that I've been working have told me, they've given me an inkling into how they located the suspect after he escaped from custody.
You mean Udoteg? Udoteg, Simon Udoteg, the guy who's in custody right now.
That's correct, the Nigerian suspect. Now, they tell me that it was a combination of luck and police work. So the luck comes in because they made a phone call to one of the numbers that they had from his phone records. The luck is that that phone call was answered by a lady who is the suspect's girlfriend. Now, they leaned on her, did some good police work, and she led them to his hideout, which is an uncompleted building, literally meters away from his known address. So in essence, this suspect escaped from police custody and pretty much went home. That in itself is quite unusual. But that is how the police were able to locate him and bring him back to custody.
All right, now we're also, this whole case has brought about what we see or appears to be some stereotyping of the Nigerian community. I know that you have been interacting with some of them. What have they been telling you about all that's going on?
Well, Israel, I went to the community of Aseke, which is here in Takoradi. Now, there is a growing Nigerian community there. We spoke to some of these Nigerian traders who reside in this community, and they said to me that they haven't yet seen a change in the attitude of Ghanaians towards them. However, they are quite embarrassed and rather surprised at the actions of their compatriot, this suspect. Now, the Nigerians in Ghana have various groups and associations that they have formed on the basis of which parts of Nigeria they come from and what sort of trade they are doing here in Ghana. Now, these individuals I spoke to told me that they don't know this suspect to be a member of any of the associations that they belong to. But they also said that if they have any information or come across any information that might help the police to find accomplices or to even learn a bit more about this suspect, they will most definitely hand over that information to the authorities, because to their mind, this particular suspect has given them a bad name and made it difficult for them to assimilate into Ghanaian society. Now, they absolutely love living in Ghana. They state as the two big reasons why they moved to Ghana. One, the stability of our electricity supply, and two, the security, the quality of our security services, which is quite ironic considering the fact that the families are currently criticizing these same security services for not doing enough to find their missing daughters. Now, I also spoke to some Ghanaians in the community. Now, one of the people I spoke to is a trader. She's very afraid. She actually wants the authorities to move out all the Nigerians from the community and deport them to Nigeria. She has 4 children. She's a trader. She works often late into the night until about 11 o'clock, but she's unable to send her children home earlier because they would have to make that trip home on their own. So she keeps them with her until way past 11 before she takes them home. This obviously is inconvenient. It makes her feel afraid, and that is what makes her speak this way. I also spoke to another Ghanaian who is the brother of the chief of Aseke. Now, he had a more measured approach. He says he thinks that the security services should pay more attention to the Nigerian community, increase surveillance on them, but that not all of them are criminals. Most of them are law-abiding.
Certainly.
But he wants them to be able to identify those who are not.
Certainly. Now, Kojo, finally, you know, we have all these images that we've been sharing since yesterday about the girls, and they have been circulated quite a bit. Do you get the impression that in Takoradi, these images are being shown around and that there's an active effort to try and find these girls amongst the public?
Everybody you meet in Takoradi, Israel, knows about this story. They know the identities, the names and images of these girls, and they can't stop talking about it. But it is interesting to note that until JoyNews broke this story and actually brought to light the details of the prison break and the subsequent demonstration by the families of the abducted, most people in Takoradi didn't know that this was happening.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it is all news to them. It has come to them in waves over the past few days, mainly from JoyNews and our sister station, Adum FM. So it is clear that this lack of information made this a minor issue until the past few days, when it has now become the talking point. This place where I'm staying in Takoradi is run by a team of Ghanaians who didn't know about this story until I told them.
Yeah.
But of course, all day they've been talking about it and even shared some new information with me when I got back to the hotel. So clearly, people have started talking, and it is bringing forth lots and lots of information that perhaps the authorities might be able to take advantage of and hopefully lead them closer to resolving this matter.
All right, thank you very much, Kojo Yangsing, and great work there. And that's why we're actually keeping you there in the Western region. So try and have some fun as well.
I accept my sentence.
Thank you very much. All right, so moving on. The Supreme Court has, in a unanimous decision, given government the green light to support the construction of a national cathedral in Ghana. According to Apex Court, the construction of the edifice is in tune with the social and political objectives of the Constitution of Ghana. A leading member of the Convention People's Party, CPP, James Kwabena-Botha, had dragged the state to the Supreme Court, arguing that government's involvement in the construction of the cathedral was, quote, a subtle attempt to make Ghana a particular religious state which the Constitution frowns on. JoyNews' Joseph Akable has more in the following report.
President Akufo-Addo's vision.
And again, like Solomon on that occasion, the building of the National Cathedral is to serve as a gesture of thanksgiving to God for his blessings, favor, grace, and mercies on our nation.
This would not receive the expected public endorsement, especially when it emerged that some judges of the Superior Court would have to be relocated to make way for the construction.
I do stand with the people that the government should locate another land, because we have a lot of lands in Accra and outside Accra.
I prefer they find another place and then they build, because we have more lands.
CPP's James Bonfe wants the highest court to declare that it is wrong for the state to be excessively entangled in any religion or religious practice.
It is not for nothing that the framers of the Constitution 1992 took inspiration from the 1969, the Second Republican Constitution, to say that we are a secular state.
The Ministry of Justice, however, argues that a country that has for many years observed principal religious celebrations, such as public holidays, cannot be said to be one that does not recognize the existence of a supreme. Some notable preachers have meanwhile backed the project. Duncan Williams is General Overseer of the Action Chapel International.
The Muslims have built a national mosque, and nobody has complained about it.
The 7-member panel comprising Justices Adenyira, Doche, Enin Yeboah, Gbadegbe, Akoto Bamfo, Benin and Mafusau in a unanimous decision dismissed the case. The court said government support does not constitute discrimination against other religious or non-religious groups. The judges further held that the case raises no issue of interpretation and enforcement of the Constitution. For Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, who made the legal arguments throughout this case, this gives government the green light to pursue its agenda of supporting the construction of the National Cathedral.
Of course, clearly the construction will go ahead, and as the court noted, all public lands are vested in the president. It's the president who exercises the discretion to allocate one piece of public land for a specific purpose. So far as this is the public interest, and of course, clearly the religious expression of Ghanaian is a public interest. So far as that has been established, that connection has been struck, clearly it's constitutional. So indeed, the construction of National Cathedral will go ahead for the glory of the Most High Lord, under whom we will all live in this country.
Dr. Abdul Basit Bamba is equally excited that the frontiers of Ghana's laws have been extended, with this declaration coming from the highest court of the land.
I think this is a very good day for the people of Ghana because for the very first time in the history of this country, we have had the highest court of the land basically making pronouncements that define the relationship between Ghana as a secular state and religion.
With the legal hurdle out of the way, a government JoyNews understands is going ahead with a series of fundraising campaigns, all geared at ensuring that the project becomes successful. Reporting for JoyNews from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
And we're taking a break to bring you business news. And coming up in business news, pharmaceutical companies in the country are having serious issues with the National Health Insurance Authority over its failure to pay them for 9 months' supply to health facilities. And then the Minerals Commission has ordered an operational shutdown of the Upper East mine, where 13 people died in a mine blast. We have the story coming up much later on in the bulletin. Stay tuned. The Minerals Commission has issued a stop work notice to Zhangzi Mining Company to suspend all mining operations in Bani in the Upper East region following a mine accident Wednesday. 13 Galamsey miners have died after a blast occurred underground. The survivor of the blast told JoyNews they had been warned of an impending blast from a neighboring mine operated by the company. Upper East region correspondent Abatori has been to the Bolgatanga hospital where the dead and injured were sent, and here's his report.
Today I traced to the Bolgatanga hospital where some of the bodies had been deposited, and together with some relatives of some of the deceased who had come to try and identify their bodies, I was able to ascertain that 12 people had died as at around 2 p.m. today. And before I left the hospital, I also witnessed the 13th body being wheeled to the Bolgatanga mortuary. We witnessed relatives of some other people who were still on admission in the emergency wards of the hospital, trying to, help save the lives of their relatives. We did get to speak to one of the survivors of this mine accident. He gave us his name as Victor. He did indicate that they had been pre-warned that there was going to be a blast, and this warning was coming from a security guard, he said was coming from Zhangzi Mining Company Limited, which we know has been working in the area for some years now.
The time they told us that they would do blasting. As for me, but I knew I feared the smoke. So when they told us that, I went up and I went and hit some places. So after the blasting, I went and hit in some place. So after I left the pit. I went and hit some place. So maybe after the blasting, I came and I saw the smoke and I said no. When I switched off my torchlight, it was not fair for me to go. So I said I have to remain for hours to see whether it will reduce or not. I stayed for about 2 or 3 hours. Still, the smoke was still there. Then I said, no, how this smoke is, I can't go with it that way. So I just left.
So how did you end up in the hospital?
I left because where I was, they were around, the smoke was also around, but it was not serious like from the inside. So I healed some. So the people told us that I shouldn't say because I wasn't part of those who were unconscious, I shouldn't come to hospital.
We also spoke to Dr. Patrick Atobra. He is the medical director at the Bolgatanga Hospital, and he took us through what has been happening since people started being brought from this mine accident to the hospital.
We had a total of about 11 people this morning. As at now, some have been added. I think about 4 or 5 have been added. 11 in the morning, and we lost 3 of them, and 3 were brought from outside. But we learned that there were some more dead at the mine site. In the hospital, we lost 4 of them. I think from outside about some 6 or so have been added.
So the police say they are still doing their investigations, and when they conclude their investigations, they will officially speak to us on this matter, hopefully to confirm the number of casualties. But the fear is that as the days go by, the death toll from this disastrous accident could rise. My name is Albert Sorry for JoyNews.
Right, so quickly, I'd want to share with you the statement from the Minerals Commission asking the company to suspend operations there following the accident. It says it's issued by the Minerals Commission, and it's to the Managing Director of Shaanxi Mining Company Limited. It says management stop work order. Management of Shaanxi Mining Company Limited is directed to suspend all mining operations at Bane with immediate effect until further notice, pending investigation into the tragic accident that occurred today. And it is signed by the Chief Executive Officer, Adai Entry Wesiako. Now, if you recall, there was a similar accident that happened some time back, and 7 people died in that accident. So it is important that the police gets to the bottom of the matter, so we get to appreciate why this keeps recurring. In other news, former President John Dramani Mahama has retained his number 3 spots on the presidential ballot paper, which will be used for the party's upcoming flag bearership race next month. 3 out of the 7 qualified presidential aspirants, Sylvester Mensah, Albam Bagbing, and Nuruddin Idrisu, were present for the balloting, whilst the rest were represented by campaign team members. Kwesi Parker Wilson has the rest of the story.
The balloting, which was scheduled to take place at 10 Wednesday morning, was rescheduled for 3 p.m. because the vetting committee was yet to submit its report to the Functional Executive Committee. Upon receipt of the report, the election committee for the presidential primaries began the process. 3 out of the 7 qualified aspirants were present, whilst the rest delegated others to participate in the process. Kwaku Ahindo is a member of the election committee.
The Honorable ASK Bagbin shall be number 1 on the ballot paper. Alhaji Nuruddin Idrisu shall be number 2 on the ballot paper. John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, shall be number 3 on the ballot paper. Sylvester Edina Mensah, Honorable, shall be number 4 on the ballot paper. Dr. Ekospio Gabra shall be number 5 on the ballot paper. Comrade Guzitano shall be number 6 on the ballot paper. And then number 7, Professor Joshua Alabi. And so we have finished with that process. I think that all the contestants and aspirants agree that it went well and fair.
Second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Albam Bagbin, says his number 1 spot on the ballot means he is the chosen one to lead the party.
It's by his grace that I picked the number 1. And everybody knows the number 1 means the first. And the first means the highest. And that is the best. And so I thank God for that position. And I'm very, very confident that that is the winning position.
And you think that's going to have any impact on the elections?
Sure, that is why it will be the winning position. It has serious impact. Because if you are not the best, you never get the first.
Wasn't it by just sheer dint of luck that you picked number one?
Well, why should the luck then befall on me and not any other person? That shows that that is the chosen one.
Sylvester Mensah, who will occupy the number 4 position on the ballot, believes he is ordained to become the 4th president from the NDC.
Taking number 4 simply tells a story that Sylvester Mensah, the 4th president of the Republic of Ghana. Numbers have meaning, but above all, it is important and significant for us to move into a 3rd gear of campaign, engage our grassroots a lot more, ensure that the trust and confidence reposed in us is sustained, and ensure that we continue to resonate with the mass of our people. Numbers have meaning, and Ghanaians believe in some of these, and I guess that we wait and see what the outcome will be in February 23rd.
Campaign coordinator for Gujitano, Nasser Abdullahi, argues that the campaign message is more important than the number 6 position on the ballot.
Any position on the ballot is good. What is important is the message. I think after over 20 years of practicing democracy and practicing, voting in this country, I don't think the voters are that naive to be following the position of a ballot in order to vote. I think it's about who they really want to vote and what message you are selling for them. So we are happy with the number 6. We are happy with where we are.
No, wouldn't that be a disadvantage?
No, it's not a disadvantage. We've had people win election in this country without being at the top, and we have people who have been at the top or been at the last perform abysmally in election. So it doesn't, I know people say we want to be number 1 or want to be number 7, but realistically, and if you look at the data, it doesn't support that any position like that affects the election results.
Kwesi Parker-Wilson, reporting for JoyNews.
JoyNews is learning Ghana's premier health facility, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, has no certified license to operate as a health institution. The hospital has up to March 31 to get the certificate or risk being closed down. This was revealed by the Health Facilities Regulatory Authority during a tour of some private and public health facilities in Accra. There's more in the following report by Matilda Omega.
The inspection of private and public health facilities in the capital forms part of a nationwide exercise to halt the operations of unlicensed institutions for non-compliance. In the case of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, they have no license from the regulators. CEO of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Daniel Asari, says they have started the process to get one.
Medical and Dental Council, for instance, is now bringing the Gazette, for which all the names of doctors in good standing will be published, for which we'll be able to certify those people who have been. So we are in a process almost halfway through the certification. Yeah. Everything is going to be done to be able to get the needed accreditation.
The situation was no different at the Lekma Hospital, as the facility also operated without a license.
We are in the process of registering with HIFRA. Has it taken Lekma so long to do the registration? Well, I wouldn't say it has taken us so long. We have known about, or we have been reminded about the importance of being regulated with HIFRA, and it's in our plan of work for this year. So.
The inspection team also checked on the Gokals Optical Branch in Osu, which is also operating without a license. But at the Akai House Clinic at Cantonment, the facility had a license and met a requirement of the regulators.
Until the HIFRA came on the scene, the public hospitals were regulated by the Ghana Health Service, and they did it very creditably. So it's the new law which is bringing them under HIFRA.
So it means since 2011 you had the mandate to regulate both public and private facilities?
Correct.
So why is it taking so long for some of our public hospitals to be licensed?
Regrettably, there was a bit of a lull between 2011 and 2017 when the new government came on. And so it was in April 2017 that HIFRA really started working. Before then, even the board had been dissolved and all that. So the main work has started, because we are only implementing what the law says, and we couldn't have done it whilst we were not present, which will be about 2014. Exactly. But during that period, there were problems in Hefra, and they dissolved the board.
So it means from 2014, these facilities, if I'm correct?
I've been looking after them, yes.
In answer to your question, Ghana Health Service is doing something, and the private hospital and maternity homes was doing another thing. There's a situation now where we have equal standards for both public and private, and it's just expedient that one body does that kind of job rather than having two bodies regulating health. That would really not be there.
So what are the timelines being given to the facilities that do not have the license?
We said by 31st of March.
Okay. What is going to happen to those?
We will keep that under wraps. But they risk being closed, and we have said that over and over again.
Hefra operates under the Ministry of Health and is mandated under the Part 1 of the Health Institutions and Facilities Act 2011 to license and monitor facilities for the provision of public and private health services. For JoyNews, Matilda Pumaga, Accra.
And that's it for the bulletin. My name is Israel Lai, and as we keep on saying, let's keep sharing the images of the tardy girls until they are found. Just retweet, share them on WhatsApp and wherever you can share them. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.